Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Great to see you. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the office, and welcome to the morning grind. Today, our main topic is going to be taking a look at Gemini 3 for RPG game design. We have used, I think we were using ChatGPT, and that was a while back ago to work on some things and some modifications for AD&D. But there are some things that I wanted to do for the old school essentials, some kind of modifications that I wanted to make. And Gemini 3 was released yesterday, and I have not even used it yet. But I did confirm over here that I have access to it on the web side of things. And so I thought that, hey, why don't we just see as another test if it can get us some of the things that I would like to know and design for the OSE, as far as table numbers, dice tables and things like that, that I just haven't gotten around to crunching yet. And so I thought, hey, let's just see if what it can do, and see if it can kind of move that project for us and give it forward and give us some numbers, because I have been an advocate in the past thinking that, that the LLMs, and of course, multimodal models and all of that, can be an aid in game design, even though I know for different reasons that is controversial, but it seems that way. So that's what's going to be our main topic for today. So we got I see Dave in the chat. Welcome. We've got Brett. Good morning. Road Deer Games. Welcome. And I see Better with Bacon as well. Great to have you all here this morning. So that's our main topic. But yesterday I spent so much time. I was trying to work on the letters from Santa Claus, and I discovered why I don't go out. I try not to leave my house because I needed to get some physical samples printed, and I also wanted some letters to send out, kind of just to people who might be interested, to let them know what it is that I'm doing. And God, I had to leave the house and go up to Staples, had to load everything, then go up to Staples. And I swear I was gone for 4 hours to get back here to the house. I mean, of course, I live in the country anyway, so it's a little bit of a drive to get to Staples, but still, even just with but putting on traffic, and God, I felt like I was gone forever. But nonetheless, I did get some stuff here. So, and I know that I keep my light dim in here, and so that you're not going to be able to see the probably the amazingness of what this is right here. But I was really happy with the way that this letter came out. So I was looking for, first of all, printing is more expensive than I remember it being. Prices of everything have gone up, including printing. So I was looking for some type of parchment paper or something that was also reasonable at cost. And what I found was this. What I ran a test with was just this ivory paper. There are some other options, and I do have an option coming in from Amazon, I believe today, with some envelopes. But here is a reasonable option. Actually, the white, I mean, as far as just a reasonable option, these letters also look good printed on white. I kind of forget, I mean, you know, how this is folded up, but it would come folded and you pull it out. So it also looks really good just on the white. So that's one option, but it looks a little bit better on the what do I say, ivory paper. So it might be worth the extra cost there, but we will see. Putting those back, what we've got here, but and plus it's printed in color. I mean, an easier way to do this as well would be to just make this a black and white letter. The color printing is expensive. Like I said, this is not cheap. I actually wonder if I can find some place online that would ship them to me cheaper than Staples can do it. I'm gonna look around, but it was nice to at least get these yesterday, even though it took me forever to go out and get them. But the color, I think, is a great touch. I've got From the Desk of Santa Claus up here in red, and then the green that's right beneath it, so it looks Christmassy. I really love the touch of the red drop letter right here, and then Santa's signature down here in red. And then I think you hadn't seen this yet, but I came up with a mock-up of Santa Claus's seal here to kind of use as a watermark in the background. So if you look at it, this is not necessarily final, but a kind of direction that I was going with it. So you can see, okay, I've got a sword and the crooked staff of the bishop crossed here. So we've got, for a Christmas of ice and iron, we've got the sword here, and then I love it. Better with Bacon says the satanic seal. Yes, I think we need to put this up someplace. Yes, exactly. So we got so for ice and iron, we got the sword here, but then we've got his bishop's staff here. I got a snowflake here for the North Pole. Over here, I've got this star. The star just kind of felt right for the Star of Wonder. This teardrop over here is a reference to St. Nicholas's bones, weeping myrrh. So the tear is supposed to be a reference to weeping myrrh. And then I have a crown here that signifies his status as prince. So he's the prince bishop of the North Pole. So I've got the crown here symbolizing that he's a prince, but then it's surmounted by the mitre. So he's the prince bishop. And then around it, I've got in Latin reference to, yes, his the seal of the prince bishop of Hymalus, I believe. which is something like the Winter Realm or something. And then I've got some Roman numerals down here, which I know need to be replaced because I wasn't sure exactly what date should be down there at the bottom, because I haven't established in the lore yet what date the bishopric at the North Pole was founded. But maybe later that comes, and then that can get swapped out. It could also be, so I think right now I have the date of the death of St. Nicholas on there. But anyway, so yeah, if you're new here, what's going on is I was ready to start working on the OSE game, but I realized that, hey, I've wanted to do letters from Santa Claus, to be able to send out letters from Santa Claus for a long time. And I just realized it was earlier in November, and I was like, hey, I have just enough time to do letters from Santa Claus. So I was getting, I got my list of people that I've got to send them to. And then if you go to ravenkeep.net, if you want to have letters from Santa Claus sent out to a child, I will send them and put them on the list as well. And they come, the second, second letter, there's 3 letters. So it's not just one letter from Santa Claus, it's 3 letters from Santa Claus that tell the story up at the North Pole, what's going on. And the second one comes with Per and the Winter Warlock, which I also had a few of these printed so that I could put some samples around for people and mail those out. Things that I have to mail for Ravenkeep will get this little 3-page sample of Per and the Winter Warlock. So those also printed up nicely. It's so nice to see something physical in an all digital world, which was kind of what I was kind of going at right here. So yeah, so that's where I got to. I didn't get quite as much done yesterday because I was running around trying to pick those up. But that's fun, I think. And I still need to lay out that per book so that I can submit them for printing. But anyway, so that's what's going on. I did the on the RPG side, the cultist side, the new books have been ordered. So I got confirmation that, of course, they approved the electronic versions, and now the physical proofs are ordered again. And I did order a few extra Cthulhu ABC's books. Did I order more Goodnight Sword? I don't think I did. I think I might have meant to, but I think I may have forgotten. But I am going to send out an email as well that if anybody needs Cthulhu ABCs or Goodnight Sword, the printer says that basically the last day that they can be ordered is the 22nd in order to get there by Christmas. And so that's why I went ahead and put an order in for some so they would come to me. But I'm going to put that out to the email list and stuff, that if you need the Goodnight Sword book for a child or Cthulhu's ABCs, we need to get on it in order to make sure that they arrive by Christmas, which is need to order by 2 days. I think that would be fun. I wasn't planning on doing the Santa's Winter Realm RPG next. The RPG next. I really want to get on the Rabavania to be able to do a Rabavania Kickstarter earlier next year. And that was the project I was planning on jumping right onto, and then also maybe changing up the streaming schedule. But then I realized, oh, wait a minute, we got to do Santa's Christmas. I want to do that. But I think it would be fun. It seems like the kind of world that could be built out into some kind of RPG. So that sounds like it would be fun. Is there any other kind of announcement that I need to make? I don't think there is. I don't see anything sitting around here that we need to talk about. So if you might get, like if you were in on the Kickstarter or something, you might get a little letter about the package here. Well, I want to do some more of the OSE game design schedule streams while we're work, and I think that I was thinking about this, but I haven't gotten on it because of Santa's letters. But it might be better for some people if we do game design in the evenings, at least some streams in the evenings. We will see. We'll see. I'm thinking about it, especially since it's been harder for me to do the morning stream, it seems like. But I'm thinking about that. Okay, hey, let's breathe and sip. I got my Fish Do Not Drink tea mug right here. So let's breathe and sip. Let's do 2 deep breaths, and then 2 deep breaths, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage. Deep breaths, deep inhales, complete exhales, and we'll take our sip. Here we go. And sip. Here we go. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so this says, because I was like, how do I know what I'm working with here? And this says over here, maybe, yeah, okay, make it larger, that if you're using thinking mode, it says thinks through complex topics with 3 Pro. Okay, all right, so looks like we've got it. We will see. I mean, as far as I know, that's Gemini 3 that everybody's been talking about. It seems like on Reddit, people have just been raving about it for the most part. So here's what I wanted to do. So we were talking about damage by class. Having people deal damage by class. And actually, I'm looking at our document that we were looking at, and we had this divided into, like, for weapon bans. We didn't want just the class to have one particular weapon die, but then the we could divide that into light, one-handed, and two-handed. That way, you have light or improvised, one-handed, and then two-handed. But why don't, instead of that, why don't we have light, medium, and heavy? That way we're not committing to a weapon being, one-handed being something. If it's a medium style weapon, you can just go ahead and use that. So I don't know. Let's communicate to Gemini here what we're trying to do. But what I want to do also is I want to scale that damage potentially with level. Okay. So I don't know, maybe I'm just going to turn on this and dictate something to Gemini and try to explain what we're trying to do here. Hi, I am trying to customize the Old School Essentials role-playing game by having character classes deal damage by character class, comma, rather than weapon type, period. I want each class, comma, fighter, mage, comma, cleric, comma, thief, to have a damage die for light, comma, medium, comma, and heavy weapons, period. These dice can increase as level increases. I don't want the damage to get out of control, though. I don't know. Let's just start with that. What do you recommend? We'll just start there, and then we'll see. We should be able to just fix things. We'll just see what they say here, because I've got some other thoughts about here, because we had stuff about. I have concern about damage explosion here. But it may not be such a big deal. Maybe it'll be able to compute it for us, because I'm concerned. I don't want, a D4 will explode more often than a D8. And I think we mentioned that one thing we could do is have a dedicated die that tells you whether or not something explodes. But that seems more complicated to me, and it involves rolling another die, and the math might mean that it's not that big a deal anyway. We're going to find out. Bacon likes Gemini. I've been using it a lot. Of course, I've been using ChatGPT a lot too. I've been using Gemini quite a bit for Nano Banana. Okay, let's see. Yeah, light weapons, daggers, clubs, hand axes, short swords, darts, fast one-handed, medium. Yeah, swords, battle axes, maces, spears, warhammer. Got it. Okay, basically got it. So let's see. So Master of Combat. The fighter is the only class that eventually hits the D12 damage die. They are dangerous with anything they pick up. So, okay, well, it's recommending D8, D6, D10 at levels 1 to 4 for the fighter. That changes at level 5 to D6, D8 plus 1, and D10 plus 1. Okay, and then at 9 plus, they go to D8, D10, and D12. What are we thinking about this? So it says why this works. In standard OSE, a sword is 1d8 and a two-handed sword is d10. This chart gives the fighter a slight edge using light weapons effectively and a small static bonus at mid-levels to simulate strength skill without swinging the variance too wildly. The cleric is d4, d6, d8. And at levels 1 to 4, 5 to 8 is d6, d6. So the light weapons go up 1. And then the heavy weapons get a bonus. And then D6, D8, D10. Holy warrior competent, but not a whirlwind of destruction. Heavy restriction. Remember that clerics are usually restricted from edged weapons. A heavy weapon for cleric implies a great maul or heavy staff. I think I was going to use a bit more combinations of dice. The opportunist, the thief relying on backstab. It's recommending we keep their die base lower, so when they multiply damage by 2 or 3, they aren't instantly killing boss monsters. D4, D6. Now they just missed out heavy, like NA, or it did heavy. And then D6, D8, and then heavy becomes D10. So what is this? Thieves usually cannot use heavy weapons. If you allow it at high levels, treat it as D8, clumsy usage. Note this encourages thieves to use light weapons at mid levels, as D6 light is the same as D6 medium, but light weapons are easier to hide. The magic user, Better with Bacon says most clerics are meant to avoid sharp weapons unless they serve the god of sharp weapons. Then all bets are off. In AD&D, there was the book that was what book was that? Was it Deities and Demigods or something that had all the different AD&D gods in it, and talked about different weapons for different gods, and also had their ceremonial robes, so that everybody's not wearing like the brown monk outfit, like fantasy cleric kinds of things. So the magic user, D4, 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 D6 goes up to D6 on medium. 9, D6. Missing out heavy weapons, which is not really something I had thought about. So maybe that works well. Heavy restrictions. If a wizard picks up a two-handed sword, they swing it poorly, so it only deals D6 or D4 damage. Okay, it does talk about exploding here. And I guess this was actually easier than I was expecting it to be, or at least it's recommending something easier than I was expecting to do. I mean, I think there's an argument to make the magic user never increase the damage die. It kind of like, what was it that the fighters are the only ones that ever increase their ability to hit? It's niche protection for the fighter. The fighter does get 1d12, but see, should that be something like 2d6? It might be strange, though, if that's the only one that is a multiple. Well, I guess we could ask it, but what else does it? It's saying something about exploding dice right here. 1, the exploding rule for optional flavor. If you feel the damage is too low at high levels, do not add more dice. Don't do 2d6. Gemini says. Instead, use an exploding die rule for fighters only. If a fighter rolls the maximum number of damage die, an 8 on a d8, they roll the die and add it. Well, that's interesting to make the fighter the only one that explodes. Now, one of the ways what I was trying to say was that, well, if all damage dice explode, then that does make it so that, well, somebody stabbing somebody with a dagger is potentially lethal to them if they critical hit and their dice explodes. And we were talking about potentially changing up the to hit roll or eliminating the to hit roll. That way, hey, yeah, the guy with the dagger could actually kill a normal man, as they say. here's a recommendation to only allow the fighters to explode. If a fighter rolls the maximum number, roll the die again and add it. This creates exciting crit moments without raising the average damage per round. Variable weapon versus class damage. Well, yes, it's saying that, hey, so we need other ways to distinguish different weapon types, which I agree. Monster HP and OSE, an ogre has 4 + 1 HD, approximately 19 hit points. Under this system, a level 1 fighter with a heavy weapon deals 5.5 damage on average. They kill the ogre in 4 hits. At level 5, let's see, under this system, a level 1 fighter with a heavy weapon. Oh yeah, under this kills the ogre in 4 hits. A level 5 fighter deals 6.5 hits on average. They kill the ogre in 3 hits. It's a satisfying progression that feels powerful but doesn't trivialize the encounter. So quick reference card, okay, right here. I guess making it 3 categories of damage progression does make it easier than trying to do, 9 different... I wasn't going to do 9, but as far as, okay, let's just break this up into low, medium, and high. I guess that does make sense. Let's tell it that I do want to include damage, exploding damage dice. Making that fighter specific. I guess I could talk. An interesting idea to make sure he feels like the combat-focused one, but on the other hand, I do like that smaller weapons could potentially explode so that someone could be killed by a dagger if it explodes, even if the person isn't particularly skilled, period. One issue is that the larger the die, the less likely it is to explode, period. So the fighter in that regard has his dice explode less often, period. What if we do use multiple dice for the fighter, which raises his average damage, further solidifying him as the melee type, but then also allowing individual dice to explode more often when he rolls. The again, if you think about what this is actually doing, I'm pretty impressed by it. Let's see what it says. Oh, well, it does like to flatter you. Okay. I mean, the downside of the multiple dice is, everything is a trade-off. The downside of the multiple dice is that you have to add them together. So when we're thinking about like game design from the nimble perspective or something, that we want that having to add anything together is slower than just seeing it. So the nice thing about rolling the one die is that you just see the answer. But on the other hand, see what you rolled. On the other hand, it creates other problems. Okay. Yes, that does mean that the daggers are going to explode on 25% of the time. It does say that this makes the dagger the most volatile weapon in the game. But, well, any type of light weapon that's rolling D4 is actually what's happening here. So, as the fighter levels up, so is this a different one? Whoa, that's too much. That's too much. It looks like. D6, D8. Okay, so as the fighter levels up, they stop swinging harder and start swinging better. More dice equals more consistent damage plus more chance to explode. D12 average 6.5, 8% explode chance. 2D6 average 7 damage, 30% chance that at least one die explodes. Yeah, one die. Yeah. Especially if you're doing not doing an attack roll. So then he's saying, now this is potentially saying, okay, so then light goes to 1d8. Like, okay, so we start with d6, d8, and d10 damage for light, heavy, and medium for the low level fighter. Then possibly goes to 1d8 for light, 2d4 for medium, and heavy 1d12. And then 2d4 plus 2d, and then at the high level, 2d4, 2d6, and then 2d8. That is quite a bit of damage. But on the other hand, that might be okay, because if you really want the fighter to be, I mean, this would be this system's method of really making the fighter the one who really does crushing damage. Because you could go, like, I'm inclined to go 2d6 on heavy at the medium. Excuse me, at the heavy on the medium, at the medium levels, 4 to 8, 2d6 rather than 1d12. That's also a pretty large escalation. Now, I think I see why it's doing that, because 2d8 is quite a bit. But if the last system had it having a 1d12. Like, why does this work? At level 9 with a heavy weapon, the fighter rolls 2 dice. Each has a 12.5 chance to explode. The odds of something exploding are high. On the other hand, that's kind of what you want. 2d4, light weapons, this is nasty. 25% per die to explode. The fighter becomes a knife-wielding whirlwind. That may be the problem here. Exploding dice, BGD says, exploding dice look impressive, but it's actually a pretty modest buff mathematically, equivalent to less than a statistical +1 bonus in aggregate, even for a D4, after you run all the numbers. And I think we have done that. That's why I was not terribly concerned about the difference between, especially like a D6 and a D8 exploding. Yeah, this might over encourage the use of light weapons. The light weapon you might just drop then back down to 1d8, say or make that the 1d8 plus 1 or something, to keep every fighter from becoming a knife wielding expert. Well, and again, we've talked about that quite a bit too. BGD says what it does open the door to is occasional runs of fantastic luck and fun, and it seemed like people liked it when you rolled high and you're the good guys, right? And we're able to do some type of, major damage because the dice rolled well. People tended to like that. We said people don't tend to like that as much when the bad guys do that to you, or you go the other way and do a critical fumble. So it could be, so maybe you move to 1d8 plus 1 just to keep the light weapons. Yeah, to keep every fighter from using a knife at the high levels. The thief. So what do they do here with the thief? The thief keeps single dice because their damage spikes come from backstab multipliers. If the thief explodes a die during a backstab, the damage will be massive. So we keep the base dice small to prevent it from breaking the game. I am potentially fine with this. Although, like you could move the fighter, the thief back down to 1d8 for heavy, if all of a sudden they're allowed to use heavy, or just never allow them to use heavy weapons, or d6 or something like that, so they could start using them, but they're just not that great. It only allows you basically to pick them up in an emergency or something. The cleric, the blunt force, the clerics are reliable but not flashy. They stick to a single solid die. D4, D6, 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 D8. Again, maybe we put +1 on heavy. See, this is why I think that this is, why I think this is useful in game design. This has helped quite a bit, but I'm already, as I'm sitting here talking through this, going, well, now how I think I would modify it. But it does absolutely keep you from starting at a blank page. That way, medium and heavy aren't exactly the same. I think that go ahead and add the +1 to the cleric at heavy. D6, D6, D8. Might take the +1 for the medium there. So that way there is a reason to use different kinds of weapons, D6, D8, D10. Okay, magic user, desperate. Well, the magic user, now here's what I was thinking. So the magic user uses the smallest die. Because of the exploding rules, their D4 dagger is actually scary. Now, you have to get close. Now, I think that what we do here is use weapon reach rules. So yeah, the weapon could be scary, but the magic user isn't wearing armor, and he's gonna have to get really close to use the weapon. So there we go. Magic user is just D4 damage. Rely on your magic. Don't rely on trying to hit something with a sword. I'm kind of liking where this is going. Managing out of control damage. Since you're introducing 2d6 and 2d8 to the fighters plus exploding dice, you run the risk of a fighter rolling 30 damage and instantly killing a dragon. Here are 2 safety valves to keep the game sane. Option: a clean hit limit. Recommended. A die can only explode once. Fighters roll 2d6. They get 6 and 3. They re-roll the 6 and get another 6. They do not roll a third time. Total 6 plus 6, 13, 15 damage. This caps the madness but preserves the fun. I'm kind of liking this. I think this is doing a pretty good job. Option B, the boss buffer in OSE. Monsters have low HP. If you use exploding dice, you should give solo or boss monsters max HP per die hit. Okay, I might have some other small changes to make to that, but let's keep it as it is for the moment, period. I think that something else to think about is weapon reach that is potentially involved in initiative. So even if you have the high variance dagger, you have to get very close to your opponent in order to use it, and opponents with longer weapons may get to strike you first, which is really not something an unarmored wizard needs to happen, period. I think since damage is not being used to distinguish between weapons, since it's class-based, yes, weapon features other than damage need to feature prominently. Yes. A dagger to the eye would indeed explode that eye. Exploding D4s seem cool. And it solves the problem, and I think most of you heard this who are sitting here tonight, but it solves the problem of, hey, I hit a natural 20, critical hit, and still rolling low damage there. Yes. This is recommending, hey, good morning, Copper96. Good morning. Great to see you. Have you been in the comments before? I am not sure. But hey, I need to take a sip anyway. So here is to Copper96. So, okay. Engagement round. Here's what it's kind of recommending. The rule applies only when 2 combatants meet in melee for the first time, the first round of the engagement. Long beats standard close. The wielder of the long weapon automatically strikes first in the round, regardless of the initiative roll. I want to change up initiative anyway, but yeah, right. So the person with the shorter weapon is not hit. They are considered to have closed the gap. Closing the gap. In round 2 onwards, the combatants are locked in close quarters. The long weapon loses initiative bonus. Optional grit. If you want to be mean, to the wizard, rule that long weapons have disadvantage to hit close weapons once the gap is closed. It's hard to use a pike against someone stabbing at your ribs. Well, actually, yeah, I would. Now, why does that mean to the wizard? That actually is like makes the thief okay. The thief has got to close. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. The tactical result is the wizard with the dagger with a close weapon is terrified of the orc with a long spear. The orc will stab first, but if the wizard survives that first thrust, they are inside the orc's guard and can start using those exploding D4s. I like that. I like that. Okay. Optional different kinds of things weapons can do. Okay, I'll go over those and we'll just see and see. I've got some other ideas for those, but it's going in the direction that I kind of want it to. Okay, here's the other topic I want to do. Now, just to make a modified D&D game. So if I'm modifying the OSE here, what I'm doing here is I wanted to do a kind of modification of the old school essentials, well, of an RPG in general, and it just seemed like it was really easy to work with old school essentials. So I'm sitting here using the new Gemini 3 because I had not used Gemini 3 until it came out. Well, obviously I didn't use it until it came out. I didn't use it yesterday when it came out. This is my first time working with it, so I decided I'd do it here live on stream and see if it could quickly kind of do some of the stuff that I wanted to do with the game without having to crunch all the numbers myself, see if it would just do it. And right now, it actually seems like it's doing pretty well. Here is my next test, though. Okay, so I wanted to include the wound vitality system, but I want to do it, if I can, without completely breaking OSE as far as how many hit points things are expected to have. That's another thing with this exploding stuff. In a wounds vitality system, ordinarily critical hits go immediately to your wounds. And you do that with the D20 roll, but if you're not rolling the D20, potentially, you've got the exploding dice. If you go straight to the wounds, I mean, so I like the exploding dice. So it seems like if you have the dice explode, then you should apply the damage to the vitality before the wounds. Another thing you could do is if you just roll maximum damage, then that damage goes directly to the wounds. I don't think I like like that as much. In the standard system, if you roll a 20, all right, I go straight to wounds. You could still roll low going to wounds, and that feels right. You would, if you only hit when you go high, if you only hit if you hit wounds on the highest damage roll, you're always giving the highest damage to the wounds, and that seems too bad. Right? That seems too bad. So I think the solution there is, okay, you've got exploding damage, but it's going to apply to wounds first. Excuse me, it's going to apply to vitality. No, we're exploding damage dice. If you go back and take a look at where we've been converting damage to class rather than by weapon. And so your class determines your damage, and level, class and level determines damage, and it's those dice that are exploding. Okay, but okay, let me see if I can just talk to it here. Let's see. Well, let me see. I need the OSE has a OSE OSR. And let's go to fighter. Here is our hit die. I'm going to just put this in here. Okay, let's work with hit points next, period. I want to introduce the wounds / vitality system from the 3rd edition Unearthed Arcana, and which was used by the Star Wars D20 game, period. That's Unearthed Arcana. But I want to do this in a way that doesn't break the hit point scheme in OSE as much as possible, period. Here is the table for the fighter. Is it going to? What are the chances of it being able to understand that? I might have to take a picture of it. Let me do that. Let me do that. Well, I can also do something better with it. Understand something about its like visual reasoning or something like that, because I think that's something that it can do. Take a screenshot. Fighter level progression. Fighter progression. I have attached the fighter progression table from OSE. And as you can see, it shows the hit points at each level, period. I want to divide that column into a wounds, and let's call it stamina rather than vitality, period. Wounds need to stay comparatively the same throughout the character's career, comma, though the fighter is the one who is most able to get additional wounds. Instead of basing any type of bonus on constitution, let's base that on strength. Then the other column tells us our stamina, period. We're basing this, as far as wounds go, on the average human male taking 6 points of damage before death. Fighters can be a bit stronger than that, period. The wizards need to be weaker than that, period. But I want, in general, the sum of the wounds and the stamina to be roughly equal to the total hit points that the character would have in OSE. As it was originally designed. Does that make sense? Let's see if it, I don't know what it's going to say. Let's see if we can do that. Hey, Mike. Yeah, this is good. Please analyze that, because that, like, actually, that's kind of something that I didn't want to have to calculate myself. That's why it hasn't been done yet. I was like, okay, we're dealing with a situation with escalating hit points and inflationary hit points. But if we keep the stamina about the same, then some characters, or excuse me, if we keep the wounds about the same, then characters will can have more stamina. How some and some things might go directly to wounds. We were just talking about that with regard to exploding dice. You can see how that works on a critical hit, like on a D20, just having the damage roll go direct to wounds. This is a bit different. We'll just have to see how it works. Okay, it flatters you again. That's a smart modification. Okay, thank you. Here's one. Okay, so wounds, yes, wounds are physical meat, but then also yes, stamina is something else. Okay, so what is it? You requested the average human has about 6 wounds. Fighters have more, and magic users have less. We'll use the strength modifier, standard OSE, -3 to +3 to adjust this. Class magic user is base 4 wounds, very fragile. A single sword blow, 1d8 drops them. Yes. Thief and cleric use base wounds 6. I agree with that. And then it says fighter or dwarf use base wounds 8. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's probably what I would have said too. Progression. Wounds do not increase every level. Fighter gains only 1 wound at levels 4, 8, and 12, representing physical hardening. Okay, all right, let's do that. Wounds remain static forever. So, yeah, that's how many wounds you've got. That plus strength. I guess if you get stronger, then you would increase your wounds. Like, that's how you could do that. So any character class could do that, I suppose, if they're actually able to increase their strength score. But the fighter is going to gain wounds at levels 4, 8, and 12, representing physical hardening. Calculating stamina, the growth. In standard OSE, you roll a hit die and add your con modifier. In this system, we remove the con mod. Well, come to think of it, so it did what I asked, but on the other hand, you're just adding your strength once up here. So it might be okay to add your constitution to stamina. We will see. Well, we did talk about that. I don't know if you came in. What if using a weapon two-handed allows you to roll 2 dice, 2 chances to explode too much? Well, like, what weapon can you use two-handed? Like, maybe something like that for the bastard sword is a good idea. Like the weapons that are versatile. Like, how do you make something that's versatile actually matter? Calculating stamina. Okay, but anyway, so at this point, we're dropping Constitution. But we'll talk to it about that in a moment. 1 hit die per level. Level 1 rule. Level 1, a character has 0 stamina. They're running purely on adrenaline and meat. This makes their HP roughly equivalent to max rolled OSE character. At level 2, they begin rolling their stamina die. All right, okay, all right. Class stamina die. Magic user D4, thief D4, star. Cleric D6, fighter D8. Note, I lowered the thief to D4 to balance their high damage potential from your previous prompt, but D6 is standard in OSE. Does it break? Okay, let's compare a fighter. Standard fighter, level 5. HP 5D8, rolls of 4.5, average per roll, total of 22.5 HP. New system at level 5, wounds. Base 8, assuming plus 0 strength for average. Well, a fighter's probably going to have stronger strength than that. Gains plus 1 wound at level 4, total 9 wounds. Stamina, roll dice for levels 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 dice total, average of 4.5, total 18 stamina. Total wounds, 27. Verdict. The new system results in a character having roughly 4 to 5 more HP than standard. This is a perfect buffer that accounts for removing the Constitution bonus. It's mathematically sound. Okay, so if we end up with more hit points, we don't need the Constitution bonus to be considered because we're just going to get more. Okay. And because also in this case, like I would assume that most fighters are not going to have a strength 0 that are player characters. So they're going to get another wound or something right there. Get wounds subtracted from stamina first. Then from wounds, as soon as the character takes any damage to their wounds, they are fatigued, and because they are physically bleeding or broken. We can add different kinds of things about that. But yeah, that's how you know there's something that actually happened to you physically. Critical hits. In OSE, a critical hit usually doubles damage. Rule, a critical hit bypasses stamina and goes straight to wounds. Because of your exploding dice rule, this is deadly. A fighter exploding a D10 could deal 14 damage directly to wounds. Safety valve, if this feels too lethal, rule that critical hits normally damage stamina but inflict 1 point of bleed directly to wounds. And then we're going to talk about healing in other cases. Yeah, so we're going to have a different kind of healing for wounds than for stamina. Stamina recovers quickly. This needs to be a rest. And I like the idea that, okay, you can get stamina back. And we were talking about talking about the underclock last time and its effect on rest. And I like that, that stamina you can potentially get back, but it's going to be a rest. 10 minutes of rest. That needs to move the underclock, though. Wounds are not something that you're going to be able to restore in a dungeon short of magic or potions. Yeah, this is moving in the right direction, period. I'm also thinking about moving away from the to-hit roll and just having the players roll damage on their turn to attack. Yes, the traditional wounds/stamina system uses critical hits on the D20 to move the damage roll directly to the wounds. But I do think that is too deadly if you're having the players just roll damage dice and they explode. The damage needs to be removed from wounds. let's have it consider fighters with a strength score. I mean, maybe it doesn't particularly matter because if it seems to be working for fighters at 0, it might work for fighters at at strength bonus 0. It might also work for strength fighters with strength bonus. Let's go ahead and say 3, and then also take a look at the wizard. Well, okay, so now this went to damage reduction. Leather pads the blow. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do damage reduction with that. Yes. Why this matters? So this is recommending a damage reduction kind of system, which we had something else going, but we've certainly looked at damage reduction, and I'm a big fan of damage reduction. In fact, something that's like this: unarmored leather, mail plate, shield. Shield shatter roll below. But yeah, something like that, something rather simple like that. We came up with a different kind of category. I probably would have used something like this, except for I seem to be so influenced by the nimble philosophy right now. And that, okay, if that damage is going to be, if you're going to use damage reduction, that means that something has to be subtracted from every attack roll. And you have to know that information from another player. How many points of damage did you do? I don't know because I don't know the opponent's armor. But yes, moving to damage reduction in this kind of system would certainly be the kind of standard thing to do. If an exploding rule rolls max, it ignores armor points. It's probably going to be good enough on its own, I would think. Okay, talking about death spiral here. When a character takes damage to their wounds, save versus paralysis. Well, yeah, you could add something like that in. This is a save versus paralysis, and they're incapacitated or knocked out or in shock. Why this is good: a high-level fighter might have 0 stamina left and be taking hits to his wounds, but because his saves are good, he keeps passing the check, refusing to go down like a movie hero. The wizard takes 1 wound and immediately passes out from shock. That looks like a shield shattering rule, like often is used. When a player takes a massive hit, like an exploding die that would decimate their wounds, they can choose to shatter their shield and ignore all damage from a single attack. That seems like a house rule I see quite a bit, so it doesn't surprise me that it recommends that. Style of, okay, it goes through this. Yeah, see, what else did we say about that? Let's run our hit point analysis on a fighter that has a strength of 3, just to see how that compares across systems. And also, let's run the analysis on the hit points for the wizard. I feel like I've got an assistant game designer, and multiple assistant game designers with this, and everybody in the chat as well. It might be able to. I haven't really tried to vibe code anything like that, but it might be able to do, like, if we said, all right, let's give this adventuring party or something. Could we simulate a battle or something? Although, as BGD has pointed out, we don't really have to do that if we're just trying to figure out how many rounds combat might last, because we can just look at average damage. Oh man, it generated a chart for us. Okay. Well, cool. Hang on. Let me see if I can get it where you can see it. Okay, there we go. It shot me all the way back up the top. There it is. Okay. Let's see. So this says hit point comparison, old school essentials versus wounds stamina system. The fighter, old school SE, with a constitution of 1. Okay, it really goes. This is level 15. We're up at level 14. We're up over 100 someplace. Fighter with a new system of a strength of +3, because that +3 con is being added in every time. So that could be, that might be a reason to add constitution back to stamina. Whereas here we've got fighter wounds. Okay, fighter wounds, and then a wizard with con of 0, which isn't necessarily unusual. That's the dotted line here. Wizard new system with a strength of 0, and a wizard, okay. The analysis shows a very interesting divergence. Because we removed the constitution modifier from the stamina rolls, hit dice, the high-level characters in your system will have significantly lower hit points than optimized characters in the old system, though they start slightly stronger at level 1. Here's the breakdown of the fighter. Level old school HP at level 1, 7.5. This is a +3 for the assumes +3 for the new system as far as strength goes, and +3 constitution for the old system. You're +3.5 stronger at level 1. You become weaker at level 3, slightly weaker. But then by level 14, yeah, the old school OSE guy would have 105 hit points. Whereas in this time, you'd only have 72.5, a total of 14 wounds and 58.5 stamina, which is 32.5. Now, in general, I don't have a problem with that, just because, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of exploding or inflating hit points anyway. But if you're trying to work within a system that already has that kind of built in, this is the way that I'm trying to do that. But that looks like if you're trying to like design for the monsters and whatever, the high level monsters, you're going to want the fighter to have more stamina. Verdict: at level 1, your new system is safer. The fighter can take 2 hits from an orc D8 without dying. An old school SE, 1 lucky hit kills him. But at high levels, the lack of the +1 con die per adds up. By level 14, the fighter has 30% less HP than the old system. You might consider adding half strength mod to stamina rolls, or giving a flat plus HP bonus at name level. Yeah. Just wondering, why not adapt nimble to your goal? Why make a new system if the nimble philosophy is what you're after? Well, I think that I put that one on the list. Well, first of all, I've always wanted to do a system. So this is kind of like a halfway point between this is kind of like intended to be a halfway point between completely revising the entire system resolution like we were doing that uses custom dice. So this is what this is like an attempt for me to add in some of the things that we've talked about that I want back into an old school kind of game, without completely having to create completely custom dice and new dice. But nimble, I've got on the list here, potentially. And I've got to lay out like the Rabavania stuff, but nimble, I think we could do some kind of nimble adjustment. Adaption, rather. Okay, the new wizard analysis. The squishy assumes strength 0 for new system and a +0 constitution for the old system. So if the wizard doesn't have any kind of bonus, it looks like we're about the same. So the wizard is effectively unchanged mathematically, but mechanically much safer. In OSE, 2 HP wizard dies to a stiff breeze. In your system, they have 4 wounds guaranteed. This ensures they can survive exactly 1 dagger thrust, but not a sword swing. Well, not if the dagger explodes. Level 1 fighter, 100% wounds. Every hit is dangerous. Level 5 fighter, 40% wounds, 60% stamina. Level 14 fighter is 19% wounds, 81% stamina. This creates a heroic arc. At low levels, combat is gritty and bloody wounds. At high levels, the fighter is an expert duelist who tires out the enemy before risking their life. Yeah, the problem with the fighter right now at high levels is that if you're actually playing in an OSE high-level module or against existing high-level creatures that are actually in existing publications, they're going to be expecting the fighter to have more hit points. Comma, probably, period. So what happens if you do add Constitution to the stamina rolls? Question mark. Does that close that gap at high levels? I like that it made us a graph last time. Let's just see what it says. It's nice the wizard came up. So nice. Can't we look down at its thinking too? I think we might be able to do that. Oh, weird. Oh, show code over here. Oh, it made a revision. Show code. So maybe they aren't expecting so many people. Okay, so my previous chart made the standard OSE fighter look much stronger than they actually are because I accidentally applied the Constitution bonus to levels 10 to 14. As your image correctly points out, OSE fighters stop gaining con bonuses at level 9. Well, I mean, I didn't pick up on that. Where's that image? So, right. So modifiers for con, yes, no longer apply. Well, that might help us out then because, yeah, we got 98. Yeah, at levels 10 to 14. Yeah, okay, things start to level out anyway. Okay, adding con breaks it. If you add Constitution to stamina rolls, you create a super tank that vastly outpaces the original game. So now it's saying that the standard OSE fighter at level 1, 7.5, now we're at 11 and we're safer. 37.5. Now we are slightly lower, but then by 14, we're basically at a perfect match at 77 and 72. So, okay, maybe this kind of works. The high level gap is a myth. Look at level 14. The standard OSE fighter has 77.5 hit points. I was kind of shocked that it said that we were supposed to have over 100 hit points anyway. I was like, this is inflationary hit points going crazy because, like, how many of these have we got to grind through? Your current system without con gives them 72.5. That's a difference of only 5 hit points. There's practically no gap at the end game. The only place your fighter feels weak is between levels 5 and 9, when we've got 67 hit points versus 49. Why? Because in OSE, the fighter gets 9 full dice of con bonuses. Oh, okay. So that, yes, in this system, they haven't built up enough dice yet to offset the lack of con. That's why that they catch up by the end, because the fighter was still rolling dice. Interesting. Adding con is dangerous. If you add con to stamina, then your level 14 fighter ends up at 111. That's nearly 50% more health than the game expects. Okay, so that's not what we want to do. So that's interesting that we do have. Well, we should be able to adjust that if we do something similar, right? If we give con bonuses to stamina for some levels and then stop at the end, then we should be able to have the fighter stay about the same. You just need to bridge the gap in the middle, it says. Instead of a complex formula, Give the fighter a flat stamina boost at key milestones to simulate their experience. For instance, the fighters and dwarves gain +5 bonus to stamina at levels 5 and 9. Okay. How this fixes the curve. Level 1, strong start. Level 5, 35 versus 37.5, perfect match. Level 9, 59 HP versus OSE at 67.5, close enough. And then at level 14, slightly tougher hero. This is the cleanest solution. It avoids recalculating every die roll and keeps the math simple, but ensures your fighter feels beefy exactly when they should. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I would have thought about that. So, all right. The flat bonuses in there, that is interesting to do. I have one other question for it. We've been going for about an hour here, but I have one other question for it. Okay, one other question regarding the relationship between the damage and the stamina and wounds and stamina system, and our exploding damage dice that does not use a to hit roll. Period. In that kind of system, if you're always having to fight your way through stamina to get to wounds, this is going to feel a lot like standard hit points anyway. There needs to be mechanisms why your wounds can be hit directly during your dungeon adventure. Period. How do we make sure that's integrated to make wounds, damage to wounds, a threat? Period. One thing I'm thinking is that rather than determine when a hit goes to your wounds randomly, comma, through a critical hit, comma, you do that based on the actual awareness of the character. Someone who is struck from behind or unaware may not get to use their stamina. Period. What other situations would we go straight to wounds? And does this current one work? Because otherwise, you've just rebuilt hit points. And don't want to do that. I think so too. Stamina might be a cost of doing certain tasks in the dungeon. Leap a trap might cost 1d4 stamina points without needing to roll a check or something. Or it could power certain some abilities, or if you are fatigued or you're going on, that could be represented by a loss of stamina. I think so. It says my idea about awareness is perfect. Okay, well, thank you. Here are the 4 rules of bypass to make wounds a constant threat in your dungeon. The flat-footed rule, which is awareness. If you're looking for some kind of like mana ability for the wizard, you could use that too. Flat-footed awareness concept. You can also use like if you're just talking about resting gets back stamina, but also some things might get you back stamina that don't get you back wounds. Flat-footed awareness. You cannot dodge what you cannot see. Trigger surprise rounds, attacks from invisible enemies, or attacks from behind if using facing rules. The rule: any attack made against a character who is surprised or completely unaware of the attacker deals directly to wounds. The OSE impact. In OSE, surprise happens in a 2 and 6 chance. This makes scouting and listening at doors life or death important. If the party kicks down the door and the orcs are ready, fine, stamina. If the party walks into an ambush, panic, wounds. Coup de grace rule. Concept. You cannot roll with a punch if you are held still. Trigger. Paralyzed, sleeping, bound, or magically held characters. A rule. If a character is unable to move their limbs freely, they have 0 stamina. All damage goes directly to wounds. The monster impact. This makes ghouls, paralysis, and spider webs absolutely terrifying. You don't need to kill the fighter's 40 stamina. You just need to paralyze him, and the next hit executes him. The grapple scramble, close quarters. A great sword is useless when someone is tackling you. Trigger, the wrestling grappling combat phase. The rule, when two combatants are grappled, wrestling on the ground. Only light weapons, daggers and knives, can be used. Damage dealt inside a grapple goes directly to wounds. Tactical result, this solves the knight versus wizard problem. If the wizard can tackle the knight, a desperate move. That does sound like a desperate move. The knight's armor and skill stamina don't matter. It becomes a dirty knife fight in the mud. The trauma rule, environment and magic. You can't parry the ground and you can't dodge poison. Trigger, non-combat damage sources. Falling, always wounds. 10-point fall does 1d6 wounds. This breaks legs. Poison, always wounds. Poison I could go either way on. Magic Missile. This spell is unique because it unerringly hits. In this system, Magic Missile deals wound damage. Oh, I hadn't thought about that. Fireball deals stamina damage because you can dive for cover. Note, this makes the level 1 magic user with magic missiles a sniper that everyone fears, although he only does 1d4 plus 1 damage. Special case. The thief is the class that abuses the bypass system. In OSE, a thief gets x2 damage on backstab. If you put 2d6 directly onto the guard's wounds, he will instant kill almost anything. The balanced backstab. When a thief attacks from surprise, the base die goes to wounds. The flat-footed rule. The multiplier die goes to shock and panic. Goes to stamina because of shock and panic. Example. A thief stabs a guard, surprised. The thief rolls d6 for damage, rolls a 4. Guard takes 4 wounds, bleeding kidney. Stamina backstab times 2 adds another 4 damage to stamina. Result: the guard is dying wounds and panic stamina, but not instantly dead unless he has low health. You can put this on your DM screen. Yeah, that's you can put it on your DM screen. Standard combat is stamina before wounds. Surprised or unseen, direct to wounds. Hapless or paralyzed, direct to wounds. Grappled, direct to wounds. Falling, direct to wounds. Magic missile, direct to wounds. Fireball and lightning, stamina to wounds. Interesting. Well, I think potentially a lot of progress was just made by thinking about this. What do you think? This seems like a useful tool to bounce ideas off of to me. I don't have a comparison of doing this kind of analysis with a different kind of different model. So I don't know if this is I didn't ask it any other model this exact same type of question. But I do like the way that Gemini handled it by giving the tables and things like that can be exported to sheets. It gave me the plot chart. It even found a mistake that I didn't think it made a mistake, but then it caught the mistake, one that I didn't even think about. So, I think this was beneficial, and sounds like an interesting modification to OSE as well. So, Mike says, seems like a lot was done in this stream. I'll have to go back and watch the entire thing. Now, what I have to do is still get it out of this and into something that could, into a document and something that laid out that could actually be printed or something, and sent around to people to play or test or something and test here on the stream. But that does I was not looking forward to trying to crunch all of those different numbers regarding hit points and changing of the stamina to changing hit points to stamina and wounds, which is why it wasn't done. But this seems like a good way to go ahead and get it done. All right. Well, I am out of here. I am going to mail some stuff for Raven Keep and work on other things today. If you want, check out the letters from Santa on ravenkeep.net. They're the best letters from Santa that a child's going to get this year, or that you can get for a child this year. I think I'm shipping the best ones. So, all right, I am out of here. Have a wonderful day. Go forth, be creative, and be constructive. I will talk to you later.